All right, so this brings us to 9:30. Good morning, everyone who is watching. For those of you who didn't meet me last week, my name is Maddie. I'm a third-year psychology student at the University of Ottawa. Good morning, Jane. I hope you had a great long weekend as well. Um, so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about scams. So it's not quite as upbeat as the plant live stream last week, but I have some very important information to hand out. If you guys want to take notes as we go along, that's fine. But I've also created a document with all the information that I'm going to be talking about today, so I'll be posting that in the group this afternoon. So first, a little bit of information about why I chose to run a scams live stream. Personally, I've had a family member who has fallen for a scam, and they were really disappointed and a little bit embarrassed. So I'm glad that they told someone and asked for help, and I really want to encourage that today. And I also want to prevent anyone from getting caught in that situation to begin with. Now, scams are getting very sophisticated and very detailed these days, so we've always kind of got to stay one step ahead of the scammers. So I'm hoping that I can provide a little bit of information today that will help you guys feel a little bit more confident in identifying scams when someone maybe has called or emailed you trying to get your information, or really just to, make you feel a little bit safer. So, if everyone who's watching right now could maybe put in the chat the last time they received some kind of scam phone call or email, that would be really great, so I can see just how common these are among our watchers. I'll give you guys a minute to type that up, but for me personally, I got 2 calls just this weekend. I was contacted by a fake government rebate program, and I was also contacted by someone claiming that my computer was downloading something. They didn't have their story very straight, but they said my computer was making downloads and something was wrong with my Microsoft. Anyway, and when I asked for more details about it, they hung up on me. So I'll get to things like that in a little bit. So Natalie says she receives scam phone calls all the time, and so does her husband. Yeah, they are pretty common, but they come in lots of different forms and ploys. So now Jane got a call last week from a fake government program. Yeah. I also get the fake CRA phone calls a lot, so Canada Revenue Agency, saying that I'm going to get arrested. So I clearly haven't been yet, but that's another prominent one, especially with Canadian Revenue Agency being a very trustworthy program, that I think they get a lot of people who doubt them if this is reliable or if it is a scam. Now, Natalie says she doesn't get many scam emails thanks to the spam filter. That's true. They can get filtered out a lot. So, to start us off today, I'm going to talk about what a scam is. So, there are lots of different types of scams. There's phone calls, emails, pop-ups, and sometimes even door-to-door scams. So basically, the goal of a scam is to commit fraud or even identity theft. So they want to get either your personal, financial information, or to get money from you. So to start us off today, we're going to talk about phone scams. Now, there are 3 very popular phone scams that are pretty successful because they aren't they kind of depend on the trustworthiness of the person, and they don't always talk about being from a business or an institution. So the first one is a money transfer. So someone will call you saying that they're going to transfer you a large sum of money if you pay either some kind of tax on it, or if you just pay a transfer fee, which is usually about a few $100s. My mom got this call a few weeks ago. So they said that she had won some form of lottery or draw that she was entered automatically into. So that's a common reason that they'll be sending you all this money. They might also say it's from some kind of inheritance, or maybe they're just contacting you because they heard you're a good person and they wanted to share some money with you. That one's a little more suspicious, but it does happen. Now, the second popular phone scam that I want to talk to you guys about is the fake accident. Now, people are at risk at this one because of their concern for family members. So how scammers run this phone scam is they will call you either pretending to be one of your relatives or a friend of your relative, and they will say that your family member has either gotten into an accident or needs some kind of financial help. So they'll probably say they need money for medical bills or maybe car repairs, and they'll hope that your urgency and your want to help your family member will cause you to just kind of instinctively give them your financial information or some money. Now, another part of this scam is that they'll also tell you not to tell anyone. So they might call and say, it's me, your granddaughter, and I've gotten into a car accident and I need money to pay to get my car fixed, but I'm really embarrassed. Please don't tell mom and dad that I've gotten into a car accident. So things like that. So by telling you not to tell someone else, it often prevents the victim from realizing that they've been scammed, or from asking the relative who this scammer is pretending to be how they're doing, if they're feeling all right, how their car is doing, or if it got repaired, things like that. So that is phone scams. If anyone has any questions, comments, personal stories, please put them in the chat. Or if you've just gotten here and like to say hello, I'd like to say good morning to you too. So feel free to say hi in the chat. Now, next we're going to move on to internet scams. So these ones are a little bit trickier. They're pretty general. They often come in the form of pop-up browsers. So it often is a pop-up that looks like it's a virus scanning software, and it will trick the victim into either inadvertently downloading a virus, through which the scammer might be able to obtain personal information off the computer, or they might trick you into buying some kind of antivirus software, or the pop-up will say that your computer needs repairs and to call this number or email this address to send them money to get those repairs done. So this type of internet scam reached out to my grandfather about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and he actually got as far as being on the phone and began to give some banking information to the scammer before my grandmother kind of stopped him and was like, hold on, let's ask our grandchildren before we give any money to this antivirus software. All right. But it was going to end up being some $100 a month or something like that. So the best way to protect yourself against this kind of internet scam is to make sure that your internet settings are set to block pop-ups, and sometimes you can even have your internet browser give you alerts if you're trying to access an untrustworthy website. So I would recommend making sure that your pop-ups are blocked, or at least that they ask permission before opening. So the next scam we're going to move on to is email scams. So in an email scam, you're often contacted from what looks like to be a legitimate company or business, maybe even one that you're subscribed to or deal with regularly. and they'll often ask you to either reply with some information or click a link to update some information. This information will often be personal, so it can be things like credit card information, your password, date of birth, things like that, that they're trying to get that information to use against you or to access your banking. Now, there's a few signs that you can look out for to make sure that it's an email scam or if it's legitimate. So the first sign of an email scam is if you're contacted by a business that is using a free web email address. So things like Yahoo, Hotmail, Gmail, things like that. Legitimate businesses will normally be at their business name. Another thing is if they send you a link to click on or if they ask you to reply with your personal information. Legitimate businesses will often just ask you to log into your account to update that kind of information. So it's a lot more secure. Now, the last thing you can look out for on emails is greetings like "Dear Customer" or "Dear Client" rather than using your name. So legitimate businesses, especially ones that you're registered with, will often use either your first and or last name when they're contacting you. Even online shopping websites, it doesn't have to be a super sophisticated business or a government-run program. They'll reach out to you using your first or last name in the email. So things like "Dear Client," "Dear Customer," that's often a sign that this email is from a scam. Now, one thing you can do to protect yourself from email scams is to Google the email address of the business that the email is claiming to be from, and just compare it from what's posted on the website to the email address that contacted you. All right, so those are the first 3 scams. Next, I'm going to talk about door-to-door scams, but I'd like to give everyone a minute to either say hi in the chat or maybe share an experience about a scam that they've dealt with either recently or just in the past. And if you don't feel like typing up a whole little anecdote, maybe just throw an emoji in there so I can say hi to you this morning. All right, so I'm going to move on to door-to-door scams. They're also known as homeowner scams. So what will happen in this type of scam is someone will offer to do a fake assessment about the house, the home value, maybe to offer some kind of service or a quote, or maybe an upgrade of some kind to the home. You might even receive a call first to set up this kind of appointment. I get calls a lot for air duct cleaning, which is registered on the Government of Canada website as a scam. I think that's a fairly common one. I don't think I'm special at all for receiving an air duct cleaning call. But if you haven't received it, I would look out for that one as well. So the goal of door-to-door scams is to gain access into your house. Now, once the person is inside your house, they will often make notes either mentally or maybe on a piece of paper about any kind of security that you have. So if you have window locks, alarms, a dog, they'll also make note of where your valuables are located. Now, this is anything from TVs, computers, jewelry, things like that. And they'll also make notes of the overall layout of the home so that they can break in at a later date. So these services, these scammers, will often pose as a reliable service. So like I said, there is the air duct cleaning scam, but these people may also pose as internet providers or government services, maybe furnace cleaners, things like that, anything that you might find trustworthy to let them into your home. So the best thing to do if someone comes to your door and maybe you're interested in this service, but you want to make sure that you're safe, is to call the business and make sure that first, that they even do door-to-door services, but second, that there are workers dispatched in your area that day. The people going door to door should also have some kind of ID number, employee number, things like that. So you can use that as well to check and make sure that the person you're talking to is trustworthy and reliable and from a legitimate business. All right, so Natalie has a quick question for the pop-up. I wonder for those people who aren't used to finding this info on their computer, if there's maybe a YouTube how-to video. Yep, there probably is. I know that I use Google Chrome and my settings are in the 3 dots in the top right corner, I believe. But I can search out a YouTube video and I will post that in the chat this afternoon. That's a great point, Natalie. Thanks for adding that. So that was door-to-door scams. Now I'm going to talk about one very popular scam, and that is the Canada Revenue Agency scam, but also I'm going to give you some tips about just government-based scams in general. So I have put this information on the printout that I'm going to provide in the group later, so I'm going to go over it very quickly, but just know that you will have this information at your disposal later. So if you are contacted over the phone by someone claiming to be from the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, they will never, like the legitimate CRA will never ask you for personal information like your passport, health card, or driver's license. They will never demand immediate payment either by e-transfer, prepaid credit cards, gift cards, or Bitcoin. They will never use aggressive language, and they will never threaten to arrest you or send the police. So from the CRA scams that I've received, this really highlights all the ones that the legitimate CRA would never do. So when I'm contacted by this scam, it often asks for my social insurance number, which would fall under personal information. They say that I immediately need to pay some kind of fee so that I don't get arrested, which is the other two. In terms of the CRA will never demand immediate payment or threaten arrest. And finally, use aggressive language. Now, when I've been on the phone with this fake CRA and I've chosen to answer it because I know that it's not reliable, they have become very aggressive with me in the past, especially when I called them out on being a scam and trying to scam people out of their money. So the CRA, if you're contacted by someone claiming to be the CRA by email, the legitimate CRA will never ask for your personal information or financial information over email. They will never send you a link to a refund or any kind of link in general. They will never demand immediate payment by e-transfer, credit card, gift card, or Bitcoin, and they will never threaten arrest or prison sentence. Now, the CRA website does highlight that you may receive an email from them asking you to log into your account and check your account. But as I mentioned earlier, that is a sign of a legitimate business, that they ask you to access your account rather than just sending them personal information. Now, if you're contacted by the CRA by mail, the legitimate CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, will never set up a meeting in person to receive a payment. They will never demand immediate payment, again, by e-transfer, prepaid credit card, gift card, or Bitcoin. They will never threaten prison or arrest. And the CRA website does clarify that any payments that you are notified of through the mail are to be done through the CRA website and through your account's payment options. Now, finally, if you receive a message from the CRA either through text or maybe through a direct message over Facebook, some kind of messaging app, anything like that, that is a scam. The CRA never sends text messages or direct messages. They will never use those two forms to contact you. Now, the CRA does perform phone calls, but only if you request them first. Now, if you do for some reason request a call from the CRA, it's important to verify the caller's identification before you give them any kind of personal or financial information. So, I provided two numbers on the handout that will be posted. Now, these numbers are to verify the identification of individuals calling on behalf of the CRA as well as businesses calling on behalf of the CRA. But it's important to make note of the caller's name, their work section, and the office location. All right, so that was my information about the CRA scams. I know it's a lot of information, and I know I went over it very quickly, but it will be available to you. I will be posting it right after this live, so don't worry too much about that. The other thing to look out for is government scams. Like I said, just this past weekend, I got a call about a government rebate program. So just to give you some more information about that, government employees will never ask you to deposit money into a personal account. They will never ask you to transfer money through a private service. They will never threaten you. And again, they will never use free email services. So like I said, in the email scams, they will never use free email services like Hotmail, Gmail, Yahoo, things like that. Now, all legitimate emails from the Government of Canada will either end in @canada.ca or @gc.ca. All right, so we have 7 minutes left, so I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what to do if you get scammed or if someone has even just attempted to scam you. Now, what you can do is report it to the Anti-Fraud Center. They have a website as well as a phone number. So the website is just www.antifraud.ca, and the phone number will be provided on the handout as well, but it's easy to access through a quick Google search. So you can use those two outlets to report the scam. If you are planning on reporting the scam, it's important to get as much information as possible out of the scammer before you try to report it. After doing all this research for you guys this week, I actually reported one that I received, the Microsoft scam that I received this weekend. I went through the whole process on the website, and it is very easy to use. And you just provide what information you have about the scam. And you can even choose to remain anonymous. So you don't put in any of your information. You won't be contacted for any further questions. It's very easy. Okay, so I do have a few quick tips on just preventing yourself from being scammed altogether. All right, so I'm just going to go through these kind of rapid fire because they are also on the little handout I've created for you guys. So, 1, never provide personal information over email, and be wary when you do over the internet. Now, this is a little tricky because if you're doing things like online shopping, or if you are on a reliable website, you do need to provide some personal and financial information. But please just be wary and make sure that you 100% trust the websites that you're giving this information to. And do not send any personal information over email. The next, like I said earlier, is to block your pop-ups. As Natalie suggested, I'll be putting a YouTube video teaching you how to do that in the group later this afternoon. Oh, there's a call now. It could be a scam. 1 second. It actually does look like a scam number because it has letters in the name there. And it's an out-of-area code. I'll let someone else deal with that. Someone else in the household can deal with the scammers this morning. Now, my third tip, would be to be careful what links you click on, especially through chainmail, advertisements, pop-ups, things like that. Just be careful what you are accessing on the internet. My next would be to make use of caller ID. The next would be to make use of caller ID like I just did there. First of all, I didn't recognize the number or the area code, so I wasn't going to answer it. Although when I get scam calls, I do choose to answer them because I know I can be safe and I trust myself to not give them any information. And from my point of view, the more time they spend talking to me, the less time they have to talk to people who might actually fall victim to their little tricks. So following that point would be to make use of your voicemail. So if it's a number that maybe is from your area code but you don't recognize, send it to voicemail. If it's someone you know or something important, they will leave a voicemail and you can get back to them later. Next, please avoid feeling pressured from any kind of scam, especially phone scams. They can be they are very smart. They always have an answer for everything, but just remember that you are in control and you can always hang up, delete the email. You are safe and in control, and chances are that if you're not sure, it probably is a scam. The next point to that would be to always verify the information you're given and always feel like you can ask for more information. Now, legitimate businesses, they have no issue giving you further information about, their employee number, their websites, their phone numbers, things like that. They want to make sure that they seem legitimate to you as well and that they are trustworthy. And for my final point, I would say always ask for help if you're not sure. And if you have fallen victim to one of these, it happens to everyone. I'm sure we all know someone who has been affected by a scam, but the important thing is not to feel embarrassed and to ask for help. Please use the resources that I've given you with the anti-fraud website, and you can even call the number that I've also provided on the handout. It's a 1-800 number, so it is a toll-free government number. And if you do give them any information, contact your bank and contact the police and report it. But the point I want to get across, along with all of this scary information that makes the world seem very untrustworthy, is that you are safe and you are in control, and the best thing is to play it safe and keep yourself safe. All right, that is 10:59. I will take any questions you guys would like to ask now. Other than that, I would like to thank everyone for joining me today. Jane and Natalie in the chat, you guys are awesome. Thank you for keeping me company this morning. But yeah, that has been all my information on scams. I know it was a lot of information, but I spent some time last night making a little printout that you guys can use or maybe send to your family members. I'll definitely be sending it to my grandparents, because like I said, my grandfather fell for a scam once and almost twice, so I will be sending him that information. All right, so have a great day, everyone. I'll stick around for a few more minutes just to say goodbye. But thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next Wednesday. Next week, we are going to do a social media crash course. So I'm going to just go through all the common social media platforms and kind of tell you how they are used, as well as just some basics in using them. Hopefully, it will encourage you guys to get out there and connect with your family members and friends on multiple platforms. Clearly, you all have Facebook, but hopefully you can get Snapchatting and on Instagram, things like that. All right, 10:01. Have a great day, everyone.